Jesus, Alan.
Oh, oh.
Hello?
Not every encounter in the wild makes sense. Some of them only become terrifying after it's already over. One moment, you're deep inside a cave hearing something that shouldn't be there. The next, you're looking at a photo and realizing you were never alone. These moments don't give warnings and they don't wait for you to react. So if something unexplainable appeared right in front of you, would you stop to figure it out or leave before it got any closer? A cave explorer shared unsettling footage from within an uncharted cave system. As he moved through the tunnels, a strange sound suddenly emerged.
Hello? Oh my god. Fuck. I gotta go.
It didn't match typical cave noises, and no source was visible on camera. The explorer believed it wasn't caused by wildlife and described it as humanoid but not human. As the sound grew louder and seemed to get closer, the footage cut off abruptly. Some believe the noise has a natural explanation, while others think something unknown may be living deep inside the cave. What do you think was making the sound? Earlier this year, on January 19th, experienced mountaineer Thomas Plamberger was guiding his girlfriend Kirsten Gertner up Austria's highest peak, Glockner. At around 8:50 p.m., roughly 150 feet from the summit, the two became stranded in severe winter conditions. Despite being the lead climber, no immediate emergency call was made at that time. Thomas and Kirsten stayed near the summit for several hours, as conditions kept getting worse. By around 2 a.m., Kirsten was severely exhausted, hypothermic, and disoriented. At that point, Thomas chose to leave her behind and descend the mountain alone to get help. Authorities later said Thomas had made an emergency call earlier around 1:35 a.m., about 30 minutes before leaving her. However, it was reported that he did not cover Kirsten with emergency blankets, and that he put his phone on silent shortly afterward. After continuing his descent, Thomas made another emergency call at around 3:30 a.m. By then, it was likely too late. Kirsten died from exposure near the summit while alone. Thomas is now facing negligent homicide charges. His lawyer argues that he is innocent, describing the situation as a tragic accident under extreme conditions. However, many believe that someone with his level of experience would not have handled it this way, raising questions about his decisions. What do you think really happened on that mountain? A man was shocked when he reviewed footage from his trail camera and saw a pale figure moving through tall grass. The image was captured inside a privately fenced area where no one should have been. That detail only deepened the mystery. To this day, he still hasn't figured out what the camera recorded that night. Some believe it was a visual illusion, while others find its presence there difficult to explain. What do you think it was? A Reddit user, OG Cheddar Goblin, shared a trail camera photo sent by a friend captured on the friend's uncle's camera. The image shows a deer standing still with a human-shaped figure positioned directly behind it. The figure could be someone wearing a hoodie, but what makes it unsettling is how close it seems to the deer. Normally, a deer would react to something that near. The deer appeared in several images, but the figure showed up only once. Some believe it was just a person, while others find the deer's lack of reaction unusual. What do you think was behind it? A group of people were walking through the Arabian desert, a place that felt empty and completely silent. As they moved forward, they suddenly noticed something unusual ahead of them.
هذا ابو فانوس قاعد الحين صبح عاد هيبي يلعب علينا. نحن بك ما لعبت علينا بالليل فتلعب علينا صبح. كان هدرنا الحين نصور هذا كذا اقبل علينا مدبر ذا الحين عليهم موتر مدبر. هذا الحين اعطانا جهه.
يلا بنجيك الحين جايين يا مسخره
مسكين يا عوينه خبل انك الحين خبلان نلحق لا تكبس ولا شيء. يا زلمه بس الله ما كان يبي يقرب منا ابي ديود الحين بيعطينا مقفاه.
In the distance, a bright light appeared, standing out sharply against the dark, open landscape. The group stopped and watched, unable to figure out where the light was coming from or what might be causing it. After a short time, the light began to fade, slowly dimming until it disappeared completely. No clear explanation was ever found for what they saw that day. It may have been something natural, or it could have been caused by human activity far away. What do you think that light really was? In late autumn, Catman Outdoors and his friend Ryan were scouting public hunting land when what was supposed to be a routine evening hunt turned into an unsettling confrontation that was caught on camera. Ryan had trail camera images showing two large 9-point bucks visiting this small section of public land. The plan was simple: move in quietly before sunset, find a deer crossing, and set up to wait. Ryan would take the shot while his partner recorded the hunt. They moved slowly through the forest, following a group of red oaks toward the roadway where they believed the deer were passing. Several fresh sets of deer tracks confirmed they were in the right area, all leading along the creek bed. But as they began picking a tree to climb, they noticed something that immediately made them uneasy.
whatever you want to call it.
We can call the game warden out here if you want
I
to.
don't care.
This is hunter harassment. We came in here to hunt. It's legal to hunt in here.
I walk in here all the time.
Yeah, but you came up here straight to us and confronted us.
Well, I was walking down through here and not seeing y'all moving.
Moved what?
Moving what? Walking? You saw us walking?
Yeah, I seen your head over the creek bank there.
And why'd you come looking for us?
I didn't come looking for you. I was just back here walking.
Well, that's hunter harassment.
No, it's not.
Tell us we better not be shooting your deer.
I'm making a comment. I like my
Really?
deer.
So what? They're wild animals.
Oh, they just crossed, by the way.
They probably did. You probably ran them all out of here.
No, they ran back over the other creek while I was in the other creek.
All right. Well, they'll be back.
Yeah, sooner or later.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna kill them all.
Well, that'd be hard to do.
Yep.
Yeah. You're on camera. This is hunter harassment. You need to get out of here or the game warden's going to be here in 20 minutes.
You've come back here twice now.
Get out of here. Bullshit. Get out of here. I'm calling the game warden.
Which house is he in?
That's a misdemeanor, right? Alright, what's it going I'm looking for
They started picking up trash just a minute ago. It's probably going to be his excuse. Got the game warden called. He's supposed to call Ryan whenever he's available, but These people don't care. They live on the other side of the woods. He's walking back up the hill, kind of zigzagging. I don't know if he's going anywhere or if he's just wandering around again. He's just out of sight up the hill.
On public land where hunting is completely legal, the hunters were gradually intimidated and pushed out by someone who seemed to believe the wildlife belonged to him simply because his property bordered the area. The most troubling part is that this likely was not the first time he had acted this way, and it probably would not be the last. Looking at the situation, it appears to be a clear case of intimidation rather than a misunderstanding. Do you think situations like this happen more often on public land than people realize? In November 2014, park staff at Great Basin National Park in Nevada discovered an old rifle leaning against a tree. It was identified as a Winchester Model 1873, manufactured in 1882. Despite heavy rust, the serial number remained visible, and the wooden stock had faded to gray after years of exposure. No one knows who left the rifle or why. There were no human remains, no campsite, and no clues explaining its presence. Experts later found one spent cartridge inside the stock, but none in the barrel. The park preserved the rifle in its original condition and placed it on display, leaving its story as an enduring mystery. On August 14, 2004, Lindsay Cocho, 22, and Jason Allen, 26, were traveling along the California coast near Jenner, California. The young couple was visiting from the Midwest and had been working together at a Christian summer camp. They were deeply religious, engaged, and only weeks away from getting married. That evening, after spending time exploring the area, they tried to find a motel for the night. When no rooms were available, they made a decision that would later prove fatal. They chose to sleep on Fish Head Beach, placing their sleeping bags directly on the sand beneath the open sky. Unbeknownst to them, a man named Sean Michael Gallen was driving along Highway 1 that same night. Gallen was dealing with severe mental illness and experiencing psychotic delusions. As he passed the beach, he noticed the couple sleeping in the open. Instead of continuing on, he stopped his car, retrieved a firearm, walked down to the beach, and shot both Lindsay and Jason at close range while they slept. He then fled, leaving their bodies behind. For 4 days, the couple remained undiscovered. On August 18th, a sheriff's helicopter flying along the coastline spotted their bodies still inside their sleeping bags. The discovery shocked the community and devastated both families. For years, the case remained unsolved despite evidence collected at the scene. The murders became one of Northern California's most haunting cold cases. More than a decade later, advances in DNA technology led to a breakthrough. In 2017, Sean Gallen was arrested and charged. Investigators determined he had been living with untreated schizophrenia at the time. In 2019, he was convicted and sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms without parole. Some believe this tragedy shows how untreated mental illness can lead to unimaginable harm, while others focus on the heartbreaking outcome of a simple decision made in trust. Do you think this crime could have been prevented, or was it truly unpredictable? A Reddit user found a spiral notebook lying alone in the middle of a desert. Inside were typical college notes, but the final page immediately stood out. It contained a heartfelt message expressing appreciation and love, thanking someone for being an important part of the writer's college life and memories. The message went on to say it was meant to share details about passwords, electronic devices, and people to contact. Beneath it was a list of names along with references to accounts and devices. There was also a short section written in a noticeably different tone, listing 3 individuals, connected to an incident with brief descriptions of their roles. Many people who saw the post believed the notebook might be a farewell message and urged the finder to contact authorities. In a follow-up update, the Reddit user explained that police took the notebook as evidence. Later, one of the listed contacts confirmed that the notebook's owner was alive and safe. In the end, it turned out to be nothing serious, but contacting authorities was still the right decision. What if it hadn't been? A Facebook user was hiking near an abandoned church ruin built in 1067, a site long rumored to be haunted. After taking several photos and leaving the area, they later noticed something unusual in one image. A figure in what looked like a white dress appeared to be standing there, even though no one else was present at the time. The user said the photo was only zoomed and brightened, not edited, and believes it may show a ghost. Some think it could be light or shadow, while others aren't convinced. What do you think it really was? Two friends were hiking along a narrow, wind-swept mountain ridge, the kind of trail where a single misstep could lead to serious consequences. Then, in an instant, everything changed.
Jesus, Alan. I'm filming. Don't die on camera. Although that would blow up on Instagram, you know?
One hiker lost his balance. His heart raced as he stumbled dangerously close to the edge, the steep drop just inches away. Time seemed to slow each second, stretching as he tried to regain control. With a sudden desperate shift of his weight, he managed to steady himself at the last possible moment. One small mistake could have turned a beautiful hike into a tragedy. If you were standing on that ridge and felt your footing slip, would you trust your balance or turn back before going any farther? This unsettling moment happened to a hiker who had been enjoying his trip until night settled in. He was still moving down the trail alone in the darkness when he heard a strange sound echoing from somewhere in the distance. At first, he ignored it and kept walking, assuming it was nothing unusual. Then he noticed her. Standing farther up the path was a figure dressed completely in white. Her eyes looked entirely pale, and long black hair hung over her face. The moment he realized what he was seeing, a wave of fear rushed through him. The figure, whatever it was, began moving toward him slowly, one step at a time without making a sound. If you were standing there in the dark and saw that figure coming closer, would you freeze and wait or turn and run without looking back? Late one night, a farmer in rural Michigan got a motion alert from a trail camera set deep in the woods on his property, miles from roads, houses, airports, or any known light source. Expecting to see nothing more than deer passing through, he began reviewing the footage. Instead, what appeared made his stomach drop. In the pitch-black darkness, a sudden powerful beam of light came down from above, briefly illuminating the surrounding trees. There were no vehicles, no people, and no clear explanation. The light appeared without warning and vanished just as quickly. Even years later, the footage still stays in his mind. If you checked your camera and saw that, would you go searching for answers or leave the woods alone? Late at night, a group of friends walked through a quiet city park when they encountered something that felt like it came straight out of a nightmare.
There's a fucking seance going on at this park, dude. Yo, these are like lit too. What the f?
Oh, hell no. I want to go home. I forgot my pole.
There's like actual like meat.
You know what this is? This shit kind of creepy.
Laid out across the ground were handwritten signs surrounded by flickering candles and pieces of raw chicken. The setup looked intentional and recent, as if whoever arranged it had only just disappeared into the darkness. The candles were still lit, casting uneven light over the unsettling scene. Some of the writing on the signs appeared to spell out a name, adding to the sense that this was not just random debris. Not knowing who had been there or what it meant, they decided not to linger and quickly moved away, creating as much distance as possible from the display. If you had entered that park and seen those candles still burning, would you have taken a closer look or walked away without turning back? This unsettling moment happened while a woman was hiking alone along a forest trail. As she kept moving forward, she spotted a dark shape shifting in the bushes ahead. Her heart dropped instantly. Unsure of what it was, she stopped and waited, remaining as still and quiet as possible to get a clearer look. After a few tense seconds, the figure stepped out from the brush and crossed the trail. That was when she realized what she was dealing with: a moose, massive, silent, and much closer than it should have been. Once it finally moved out of sight, she began walking again. Moments like this show how quickly a peaceful situation can turn risky. If you were alone on that trail, would you keep going or turn back after a reminder of who truly controls the forest? A Reddit user shared a story that continues to leave people uneasy. He set out alone on a hike into a remote desert mountain. When he reached the summit, the marked trail was gone. In its place was a narrow, slanted rock ridge with steep drops on both sides. Standing there, your mind would start racing. Your heartbeat would pound louder than the wind. Your legs would shake as loose rock shifted beneath your boots. Still, he kept moving forward. Step by step, breath by breath, he managed to make it back safely. If you were faced with a ridge where a single mistake could be your last, would you keep going or turn around before it was too late? A TikTok user was hiking along a quiet forest trail with her husband when the atmosphere suddenly felt wrong. Her husband stepped away for a moment, then calmly but urgently called her name. Within seconds, the forest seemed to shift. From the trees ahead, a coyote quietly stepped onto the path. The animal never noticed her and slipped back into the woods, vanishing as silently as it had appeared. Only afterward did she fully realize why her husband had called out to her. The wild offers no warning, and awareness can mean everything. If you heard your name called like that, would you freeze or look up in time to see what was there? 5 miles deep in the forest, far beyond any marked trail, he came across something that immediately made him uneasy. Standing alone was a tree covered in bones. Animal skulls had been carved with unfamiliar symbols. Bones were tied together, and one had been painted red as if it had been used in some kind of ritual. Shaken but curious, he took a photo before leaving the area. When he returned the next day, everything was gone. It was as if the entire scene had never existed. Who placed it there? Was it part of a ritual? A warning meant to be seen only once? Or something darker that was never meant to be found again? If you had come across that tree deep in the woods, would you have stayed to look closer or walked away immediately? During what seemed like a calm, ordinary hike, someone paused to take a quick photo with their dog, expecting nothing more than a simple memory. Later, when they looked back at the image, they noticed something deeply unsettling. In the background, barely visible, was a dark, shadowy figure with what looked like glowing eyes. Even more disturbing was the dog's reaction. The retriever appeared completely relaxed, showing no sign of fear. Many people argue that would be unlikely if something threatening had truly been nearby. Years later, the photo remains unexplained, leaving people wondering what was really there that day. If you found something like that hidden in your own picture, would you ignore it or start questioning what might have been watching you? This disturbing clip was shared on Horror Chill's TikTok, recorded deep in the forest late at night. A small group is filming in near total darkness. One person stands a few steps ahead of the others, quietly directing his attention towards something hidden among the trees, while the rest stay behind with cameras raised. Their flashlights point straight at him, leaving everything beyond swallowed in black. The tension in the air feels heavy, as if the woods themselves are watching.
I don't know. I've been face down in a ditch for 2 hours. I don't think there's much left I have to prove. Okay, if you can come I don't know where this thing is or when it's gonna.
Without warning, a pale white figure bursts out of the darkness and grabs him. Within seconds, he is violently dragged deeper into the forest, vanishing between the trees. His friends immediately begin screaming and run after him, desperate to help. There are no answers about what happened next, and no clear explanation for what emerged from the dark. If you were standing there after midnight and saw someone pulled into the trees like that, would you run after them or stay back and call for help? A disturbing video circulating on TikTok shows a lone hiker moving deep into the Mojave Desert, miles from the nearest town or paved road. The terrain stretches endlessly in every direction, dry and barren, wrapped in an unsettling silence. There are no footprints pressed into the sand, no signs of wildlife, no indication that anyone else has passed through in a long time. That silence is suddenly broken. Without warning, a sharp, piercing scream cuts across the empty landscape. Startled and uncertain, the hiker freezes, scanning the horizon in every direction. Nothing appears. Nothing that could explain the sound. The scream feels wrong, almost unnatural, as if it doesn't belong in such a remote and lifeless place. The camera jerks violently as panic takes over, capturing only the vast desert stretching behind him while the echo fades into the distance. If you were standing there and heard that scream with nothing around, would you stay and search for the source or run without looking back? This terrifying experience was shared by a Reddit user who believed he was simply taking another quiet solo hike through the forest. The trail felt calm and uneventful until he saw it. A massive grizzly bear was walking directly toward him, completely alone on the path. With shaking hands, he pulled out a can of pepper spray and aimed it at the bear's face. The spray struck its target. The bear immediately turned away and ran in the opposite direction, leaving him physically unharmed. In moments like that, survival can come down to one small piece of gear and one quick decision. Sometimes preparation makes all the difference, and sometimes it's just timing. If you were standing there without that spray, would you have stayed composed or frozen at the worst possible moment? In 2018, a hiker captured something unsettling while moving through the woods. The figure in the footage crawled on all fours, completely hairless, moving in a way that seemed unnatural.
Stop, Holden.
It didn't look like any animal most people would recognize. Many believed it was proof of a legendary creature such as the skunk ape. But later, the figure was identified as a weak black bear suffering from severe hair loss, likely caused by mange or another serious skin condition. Still, running into something like that without warning would shake anyone. If you saw a hairless figure crawling through the woods, would your first thought really be a sick animal? A group of hikers chose to try a giant swing, a dangerous activity where a rope stops your fall above the forest floor. One by one, they climbed up and stepped off, relying on the harness to keep them safe, but the risk was always there. One mistake, a rope giving out, or someone losing control could change everything in seconds. The snacks they brought lay untouched below, quiet reminders of the danger overhead. When your safety relies on a single rope, would you still go through with the jump? He is hiking at night, recording his way through dense woods and thick brush. Every sound and shifting shadow feels stronger, and the camera trembles slightly as the tension builds. He stops and slowly turns. Ahead of him, a large shape stands in the darkness. He can't tell what it is and panic sets in. Moments later, everything goes quiet. The footage cuts off without any answers. It may have been an animal, or just a trick of the darkness. But if you saw something like that at night, would you stay to figure it out? A Reddit user recently posted an old photo their grandmother took years ago at Gettysburg Cemetery, and it quickly stirred debate. The user thinks it's probably just a sun flare, but many viewers aren't convinced. In the image, a strange figure seems to hover above a gravestone resembling the spirit of a bald man. Some say it looks too modern, like someone wearing a jacket and jeans, while others believe it resembles an old uniform. Most agree it's likely a trick of light, yet once you notice it, it's hard to ignore. What do you think the photo really shows? The woman stepped cautiously onto the wooden bridge as the planks shifted beneath her feet. The ropes groaned under her weight, making each step feel unstable. Fear showed on her face as she moved forward, worried the bridge might give out at any moment. Her heart raced, hands gripping the ropes tightly, imagining a plank breaking and a fall onto the rocks below. When she finally made it across, relief took over. Still, one thought remained: what could have happened if the bridge had failed halfway through? A Reddit user recently posted a chilling clip of a raven, and it quickly made the viewers uneasy.
Молодец. Молодец какой. Молодец.
The bird clearly copies human speech and even ends with something that sounds like laughter, which many people found deeply disturbing. It felt less like hearing a bird and more like something human inside an animal or something trying to imitate people.
Рус, ты меня перебиваешь. Ты в курсе?
Конечно.
Конечно.
There is a logical explanation. Like parrots, ravens are highly intelligent and have advanced vocal abilities. When they are exposed to human voices often enough, they can learn to mimic words, tones, and even laughter. Still, hearing this from a raven feels far more unsettling than from a parrot. If you came across something like this alone in the wild, would you stay calm? And what do you think it was really trying to say? Imagine hikers camping on a cliff as a storm moves in. The wind roars, rain pours down, and the rock under their boots becomes slick. They hang at the edge, a rope tied back to camp, pulling tight with every strong gust. Each crack of thunder feels like a warning. What if the rope snaps? What if someone slips and vanishes into the darkness below? Fear builds quickly sharp enough to feel real. For now, the rope holds, but the tension doesn't go away. In moments like this, every second becomes a choice between trust and fear. A man stood on a mountainside attempting a precise jump, carefully moving along narrow iron rods. Each step required complete balance and concentration. Halfway through, he lost his footing and dropped toward the river below, hitting the water hard and landing awkwardly on his leg. In that moment, everything could have gone wrong. One mistake, one injury, and the situation could have turned into a disaster. When risk and control are that close, how much can skill really protect you? A couple thought they had found peace after moving into a remote home deep in the Appalachian mountains. Not long after settling in, that calm began to slip away. Strange noises echoed through the woods, and voices seemed to carry from places where no one should have been.
POV, you moved into a house in the Appalachian Mountains and woke up to this the next morning.
Their dogs, usually relaxed, became restless, staring into the darkness and refusing to settle. Then came the moment that changed everything. One morning, they saw a face pressed into the condensation on their back door window, clear enough to show someone had been standing there, silently watching from outside. In a place so isolated and remote, the realization was chilling. It could have been a trick of light or moisture, but if no one was supposed to be there, who was watching them? A man stepped cautiously onto a bridge at the edge of a cliff. It looked like part bridge, part ladder, with steps fading into the mist ahead. He couldn't see where it started or where it ended. The structure shifted with every movement, sending a wave of panic through him. Others crossed as well, each step slow and tense. One slip, one weak moment, and the fall would be unavoidable. Every unsteady plank reminded him how thin the line was between balance and disaster. A man was recording himself while walking along a narrow rock path high above the ground. The area felt dangerously exposed, with nothing on either side but open space. The footage shows just how small the path really was, where one wrong step could mean a fall. He kept his focus ahead and moved slowly, placing each step with care. Some say concentration is the only way to manage fear in places like this. If you were standing there, would you trust yourself to keep going? A group of hikers was making their way down a steep, mist-covered mountain with sheer drops on every side. The height alone made every step feel dangerous. The footage shows them moving slowly, holding onto rocks and vines as they search for stable footing. Fear is visible in every movement, yet they continue. Some see it as a test of focus, others as unnecessary risk. If you were there, would you keep climbing down or turn back? Snow covered a mountain staircase, turning every step into a hidden layer of ice. Two hikers were making their way up, one just a short distance ahead of the other, with the cold wind adding to the tension and risk. In the footage, the hiker in front suddenly lost footing and began sliding down. Within seconds, he collided with the person behind him, and both started slipping together on the narrow, steep steps. Nearby, hikers quickly stepped in and managed to grab them, preventing a far worse fall. Some say the ice and steep incline caused the slip, while others point to how quickly small mistakes can become dangerous in these conditions. If no one had been there to help, how do you think this would have ended? A man recorded himself walking down a long, narrow staircase with uneven steps leading into thick bushes below. People moved carefully ahead of him, taking one slow step at a time. Each look downward made the danger feel real. One slip could send everyone tumbling. Some believe the risk came from the height, while others think it was due to how close they were moving together. If you were there, would you keep going or stop before it got worse?
That's it for tonight. Which moment creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story? Share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.